Webhooks are powerful, but tricky to get right. With Notion's new webhook support, integration just got easier, but only if you know the steps. Let me show you how to do it in 8 steps and then walk you through the code. Here's what we will cover in this discussion. Start by looking at 5 applications of webhooks. Explain what webhook really does. Walk through the 5 steps of Notion webhook integration. We will learn about 2 webhook payload types. Notion provides 18 different triggers that send webhook payloads to the remote server. Next, we will see how to deploy a fast API web server in Railway hosting platform and use it as webhook receiving server. Fast API server contains a post endpoint which receives the webhook. We will review its logic and finally walk through the code. Let's first look at a demo of Notion page integrated with Webhook to a remote fast API server hosted on Railway platform. Here is a Notion page connected to Webhook integration. We have written a question here. Then we shift to the logs of fast API server in Railway platform. We can see the server is listing the tallest buildings in the logs, which means it has received the question we wrote on the Notion page. We can also see the Notion API is being called multiple times to update the page content, which is because a new page is created to store the reply from the AI model. Now that we have seen Webhook in action, let's dive into 5 things Webhook can do. Webhooks are used for providing real-time updates on many real-world services. It is used for automating processes based on the triggers from front end, removes the repeated polling of API, and gives efficient responsiveness with audit trails. It's pure magic. What Webhook does is really simple. It sends a post web request to a listening web server. So in Notion, you make a change to a page or database, which triggers a webhook, which sends a post request. Simple. Let's dive into 5 steps that we need to finish for setting up webhook integration in your Notion account. We need to build a web server that can accept the webhook post request, create a custom integration in your Notion account, and connect that integration with Notion page or database of your choice. For the webhook to work with the server, the integration has to be verified with a verification token. And then we can test the webhook triggers by changing the page or database content. Stay with me for a couple of minutes and learn about the payloads and the triggers that Notion has designed. Then we will walk through the steps of deploying the fast API server and integrate it with Notion. There is the verification payload that contains the verification token, which we need to use for one-time verification of the webhook integration. Then there is the data payload, which contains the details of the webhook trigger, and importantly, the part of the Notion page or database that has been modified. As developers, we have to use the block IDs and property IDs to extract the content using the Notion API. The webhook payload does not contain the data inside the blocks or the properties. Inside the data payload, there is type key, which contains the webhook trigger type. There are 18 triggers as of this video is made, and Notion is expecting to add more. We can see the triggers are all related to pages, databases, and comments. The webhooks documentation provides the details of individual triggers. Most of it is self-explanatory. We will next look at the 8 steps required for deploying fast API web server onto Railway platform. The steps 1 to 6 related to coding the server and committing to Git repo, while the step 7 and 8 is linked with deployment process. We will be using the fast API server that I have already committed to the repo shown here. The link to the repo will be shared in the description. You can fork the repo and use it for deploying in your Railway project. We have learned about the webhooks, payload types, and steps required to deploy the fast API server to Railway platform. We will next see the demo of deploying the server in Railway platform. You can follow along with your own Railway account. Ensure your Railway account is connected to your own GitHub repo. In your new Railway account, create a project, and inside that project, you need to add a service. Select the GitHub option and choose the Notion Webhook Fast API repo. If you are not finding this repo, then you have fork it by using the link given in the video description. You have to update the settings of the service by clicking it and going to the Setting tab. Under the tab, scroll down to the Start command and update this command and click on tick mark. Leave rest of the settings as it is. Before clicking on the pink deploy button, we need to add the Notion token environment variable. Clicking on the Variable tab will take you to Variables page. Click on Add New Variable and add the Notion integration token. This integration token has to be from the Webhook integration that we will create next. Go ahead and click on Deploy button and then go to Deployments tab. You will see the most recent commit from the GitHub repo is now being deployed. You can see the progress. After this, whenever you make changes to the connected repo and commit, a new deployment will start. It's completely automated. After the build is deployed, again, go to Settings tab to generate the public domain. If everything was done correctly, then you must be able to click the generated domain URL and it will show Hello World, like shown here. Let's walk through the custom Notion integration creation and enable webhooks in that integration. Start with the custom integration by giving it a meaningful name and assign it to a workspace. Choose Internal Integration and click Save. Then go to Integration page and enable reading and writing comments and click Save. Let's begin subscription process for the webhooks with the Fast API server we deployed. Copy the public URL of the Fast API server and come back to Webhook page. Click on Create Subscription and paste the URL in the text box. The web server has a post endpoint named Notion-Webhook. Type the same and then click on blue button below. If everything goes well, the subscription will be complete and you will next be asked to verify. After clicking Verify button, you will see the option to send the verification token to your web server. Click on that button. You will see confirmation that token has been sent to the public URL we had given. Go back to Railway Service page and click on Deployments. You will see the recent deployment. You will find View Logs. Click that button. Inside the Logs page, select Deploy Logs and wait. The token takes some time to show up. You will see the verification token in the log. Copy that, head back to Notion integration page, and paste the secret token and click on Verify button. We have to then go to our Notion workspace and visit the page that we want the webhook integration to be connected with, and complete the connection process like shown here. Next is the testing time. We need to test if changes made to the page is triggering the webhook and sending the payload. The changes to title and additional text paragraph is added. Heading back to the Railway Service page and looking at the deploy logs, after a minute, we see the triggered webhook payload with the page ID, block ID, and other details showing up. The integration is a success. We completed all the 5 steps of integration, along with the testing step. Before we look at the Fast API server post endpoint code, we will walk through the logic first. The code has 2 checks, one for payload and other for type of trigger. The webhook integration sends the payload to server post endpoint, and it checks whether it is a verification payload or data payload. The post logic further checks what is the type of trigger and then extracts the object IDs. These IDs are then used for calling the Notion API for further work as per your requirement. Let's now walk through the code for the post endpoint alone, due to the time constraint. The link for the code in description. The payload is received by the handle Notion webhook function, and it is first checked if it contains the verification token key. This is to check the type of payload. Scrolling down the code, we can see if statements, checking the type of the trigger. This is the second check. The IDs and the trigger types are being stored in variables, and then it is used for calling the Notion API using the Notion client instance. This is how the IDs from the webhook payloads are being used. The code is further updated to connect with Anthropic AI model and get the text generated that you saw in the demo in the beginning. The generated text is sent to the parse MD function from the MD2 Notion page module, and then markdown data is sent to Notion page through Notion client. We have completed all the 8 steps and successfully integrated with Notion webhooks using the Fast API server hosted on Railway platform. You can find more detail on how markdown data can be directly imported to Notion page in this video. Take a look.